All right, let's talk about it because I feel like there are a lot of not online only, but rather games that are very much focused to be in the online space. They generally don't tend to have, offline modes and things like that. But that's, I suppose, kind of different in the case of Multiversus, where Multiversus is actually shutting down and that season 5 is going to be its last. And it's been an interesting release schedule for sure when it comes to Multiversus, because there's a handful of things I'm pretty sure a lot of people may have potentially forgotten about. Like I said, it had an incredibly weird launch situation, all things considered. So basically what happened was they had a closed alpha back in, I think it was 2021. The game was officially announced in November 2021. And then they had an open beta that ran from July 2022 to June 2023. And people thought, okay, this is the release of the game. Everything is dropping. I'm sure that like an official release will be a little bit later on, but they were still kind of calling it a beta for some unknown reason. But then they said, oh, they're taking the game down on June 2023. And I was like, okay, sure, whatever. And that seemed incredibly weird. Only to then announce in January of 2024 that the game was going to be released on May 28th, 2024. So the game was available for a full year in beta, and then officially released a year after they pulled the game down. And in the end, what ended up happening was that a lot of functions, features, and modes, and the way the game controls and things like that were actually seen to be better during the beta period than it did in the final release, and especially from that monetization perspective. Now it's been announced that the game is going to be delisted May 30th, 2025, and will continue to be playable offline. That being said, however, Multiversus is largely carried by the fact that it is a game that you want to play with other people. So not being able to play online might not be the biggest deal in the world. I don't know if there is actually an offline mode that you can play with multiple controllers on the couch. So there is at least some value still there for Multiversus. It's just that moving forward from the 30th of May, people who have not yet downloaded or technically purchased the game, because it is a free-to-play title, that it's not in their downloads list of whatever platform that they choose, they will no longer be able to get it moving forward from that point. And I thought that is kind of an interesting way of looking at it, because again, I thought Multiversus was entirely online, but I guess that might not necessarily be the case, and that it's actually like majority online, more like 90% online, and it might just have a few exhibition-based offline modes or something to that extent. But yeah, players are not happy about Multiversus because, among other things, we know for a fact that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League caused a $200 million dent in Warner Brothers' bottom line, but there was another $100 million loss there. And that extra $100 million loss was in the form of Multiversus. So despite Multiversus' strong early showing, which it did do incredibly well, it was like 130k players at launch. The game massively underperformed for WB and Player First Games, which lost a total of $100 million. So during that fiscal year, Warner Brothers did in fact lose $300 million. 200 of which fell from Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, and 100 million thanks to Multiversus, which is absolutely massive. That being said, however, people who bought the Founders Pack which is about $100 at launch, and I can't remember if it was the 2022 launch or, sorry, the 2020, give me a second. I can't remember if it was the 2022 launch or the 2024 launch, but it was $100. And people who bought that are not going to be getting a refund, because again, when you buy content in a game that is relatively heavy on the online aspects, they generally tend to not give you refunds, even if a game does get delisted and then therefore becomes no longer playable from that point moving forward. So yeah, Warner Brothers officially confirmed on January 31st, which was a couple of days ago for me at least, that Multiversus will be shutting down within the coming months after less than a year. Now, technically, if you want to count the beta year, it would be more, but again, we're just purely going to go down to technicalities. The Platform Fighters servers are scheduled to go offline 30th of May, following the conclusion of the game's 5th competitive season at 12 p.m. EST, with monetary purchases already halted. Developer did confirm that they would be able to continue playing Multiversus in offline mode. However, the game is being delisted from online storefronts on a shutdown date. So shutdown date and date that it's no longer going to be purchasable or addable to your download list is pretty much one and the same right then and there. One subset of fans are voicing their displeasure, and that's of course the guys who actually did buy that founders pack that cost $100 pretty much, and that's really unfortunate because it came with character tokens and things like that, and that's largely just not going to be possible. So here we have actually what is the premium founders pack, sitting at, like I said, 100 USD, 30 character tokens, exclusive banner, 3 premium battle passes, 2 banners, 2 ring outs. I feel like looking at the 3 battle passes though, that kind of gave away what that kind of looks like, but also the fact that only 12 characters released, but they said 30 character tokens, so you didn't even get half the characters that you were really even promised. I think Glenium is the premium currency, and then you've got nameplates, ring out events, and things like that, so small little cosmetic elements to it as well. And I mean, to be completely honest, a lot of people aren't looking at stuff like Smash Brothers and thinking, oh, when is that game going to shut down and no longer have its online be accessible? Because even if its online isn't accessible, it's still got a lot of content that you can play offline without needing that internet connection. And I feel like that's what a lot of Smash clones nowadays are very much missing. And I feel like the Smash clones they're doing better are like the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl, for example, that has a decent amount of content offline, versus say playing something in Brawlhalla or Multiversus. But that being said, I feel like that's an extremely unfair comparison for Multiversus, because we all know that Brawlhalla released a really long ass time ago and is still going to this date, though that really depends on how much longer Ubisoft is actually going to last in that sense. And I'm surprised that this game was even nominated for Best Fighting Game at the 2024 Game Awards. I feel like it could have arrived twice in both 2022 and 2024. But yeah, Warner Brothers Games has been through a lot. Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. That really kind of fell down the barrel real bad. And while Multiversus was seen as a good game and had a relatively strong uptick at the beginning, it petered off incredibly quickly, and it's really unfortunate to see that while Warner Brothers tried to actually leverage that initial hype launch from the beginning of their initial launch to the beginning of their second launch, it unfortunately didn't really carry through as well as they had hoped. Now, could they have actually brought the game down and then brought it up a third time only to get a third spike in playership? I don't know if that would be the case, or whether that would be even an advised thing to do. I feel like that is still very much ill-advised, all things considered. What is this? Someone in the comment section says, I have a bad habit of spending money on online games, so I kept myself from spending any money on Multiversus for a brief time. I tried the game. And sure, that's fair. That's not really a bad idea if you have a bit of an issue spending money in games. But yeah, I guess with all things said and done though, let me know what you guys think about this whole situation, whether it be the multiple launches, whether it be the fact that there were a bunch of characters that were going to be promised to people who bought the premium pass at the very beginning of the launch, but didn't even really manage to reach halfway, or the fact that, you know, we look at this as like a massive failure. Was it really even worth bringing this game back? Should it have just, when they killed it, that it just stay dead and never be brought back from the dead at all? It's just kind of interesting to look at, all things considered. But with all of that being said, please comment below what you guys reckon about the situation and each and everything going on in between. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel. I'm aiming for 500 subs by the end of the year, and with all of that being said, I do upload every day, so I'll see you guys tomorrow.